What's good, y'all, man? It's your boy Torian, man. We back with another banger on the channel. I'm trying to hit at least like 100 uploads this year. You know what I'm saying? All my socials gonna be at the bottom of the screen. If you wanna follow your boy, if you wanna add me on Snapchat, any of those type of things, you know what I'm saying? All that type of stuff is gonna be at the bottom of the screen for y'all to look at, check out if y'all want to. Don't forget to like the video, leave a comment on what you want to see next, or how you felt about the video, all that type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead and feel free to leave a comment, turn on your post notifications so you can know every time when your boy upload. Don't forget to subscribe, you know what I'm saying? Subscribing will always help your boy grow, you know what I'm saying, on this type of platform, you know what I'm saying? A sub will help your boy. It's free too, you know what I'm saying? So feel free to hit the subscribe button too. Your boy got a, you know what I'm saying, good vibes only, man. Good vibes only shirt on, you know what I'm saying? But look, I've been appreciating all the support that I've been getting on my on all the videos that I've been dropping. I've been appreciating all the support. Just keep it up, man. Keep it up. And your boy gonna keep dropping twice a week, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna talk to y'all a lot today, man, you know what I'm saying? But today we about to be reacting to 3 McDonald's horror stories animated, bro. If you enjoy these type of videos, leave a comment saying you want me to keep doing these type of videos, or you know what I'm saying, you want to see something else. You know what I'm saying? Just let me know how you feel about these type of videos, you know what I'm saying? But look, let's go and hop into the vid. Story number 1.
My name's Edward, and I turned 18 last month. I finished high school 2 months ago, and now I'm preparing to start studying cooking. My dream is to be a recognized chef. I've been cooking by myself for almost 5 years, since the day I decided that I was never going to eat out again. People tell me that my decision is a bit extreme, and that I should get over it, because there's nothing nicer than trying new flavors from different chefs. They may be right, but if they had experienced what I did that night, they wouldn't want to go to eat again either. That February night, I was only 12 years old. My parents were about to take me out to eat at my favorite place in the world, McDonald's. I remembered how anxious I was that day. I remember that day I was very anxious to go since I hadn't eaten all day. I wanted to save my appetite for the huge cheddar burger I was going to eat. I was also a big fan of French fries. My parents always left me theirs because they knew I could never get enough with the ones they gave me. I was thinking about the food for so long that before I knew it, we had arrived, and I ran to the counter to place my order. The place was empty, and it made sense. It was a Tuesday at 2 a.m., and I didn't expect anyone else to be around. Normally, kids my age are asleep, but since my parents were coming home from work late and usually stayed up late, it was convenient for them that I was awake at the same time they were. They hadn't even finished getting out of the car, and I was already in the driveway staring at the cashier, not holding back the urge to ask her for my combo. When she looked back at me, somewhat surprised, I noticed something about her that caught my attention. The girl was noticeably very dirty. Her uniform was full of stains. She had no makeup on, and her messy hair reached her face where she was biting at it. A few seconds later, my parents joined me and began to order. I was still hungry, I won't deny it, but I was distracted by the hateful face the girl was looking at me with. Had I done something wrong? Why was she looking at me like that? I decided not to pay any more attention to her and just ordered my food. My parents ordered a normal combo and a Coke. Unlike them, I didn't like it, so I ordered a 7-Up and a huge combo. My parents looked at me in surprise. They didn't understand how I ate so much without getting fat. A few seconds later, our order had arrived. I ran up to the cashier and saw that girl again, but something had changed. She was looking at me with a big smile on her face, as if she was happy to see me take the food. At that moment, I thought maybe I had misjudged her. She was just having a bad night, but she sure was a good person. My parents grabbed the trays, and when the girl told me to enjoy my food, I thanked her and smiled back. As I tasted the food, the urge to continue eating quickly disappeared. This was not because I was already satisfied. In fact, I was still hungry, but it was because the food tasted funny. The soda tasted a little bitter, and the hamburger tasted like metal. The fries were strangely slimy, and after a while, my hunger went away.
Slimy.
I didn't want to say anything to my parents. They seemed to be enjoying their food. so I just went to the bathroom without telling them it was to throw up. After throwing up in the bathroom, I felt much better. I wasn't ready to keep eating, but I heard that 7-Up was good for the tummy, so I was going to keep drinking. As I came out of the bathroom, I heard a noise from a hallway. It was a lot of voices laughing, including the girl who had waited us. I don't know if it was because I was
I got hit with that. Well, while this ad is going through right now, how y'all been, bro? Y'all been good?
With fresh grilled chicken.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up.
young,
ahead and
or
skip
because
that
I
up.
was curious to know what it was like to work in a McDonald's. So I decided to cross the aisle and sneak a peek in. Unlike the rest of the McDonald's, the kitchen looked very neglected, as if the cleaning shifts were only valid for what the general public sees. At the table, the food was loose. Pieces of bread and lettuce were scattered all over the place. Unpreserved hamburgers, tomatoes, and even silverware on the floor. I was surprised by the number of cockroaches I saw. I didn't want to focus on looking at the floor anymore, because I knew that if I kept inspecting it, I would inevitably see a rat wandering around. I kept inspecting with my eyes without getting too close, until I heard some voices and pulled back again. What I saw made me want to vomit all over again. Several employees stood together, blowing their noses into a cooked hamburger patty. One of them was spitting in the fries, and in the distance, another was pulling up his fly with an uncovered glass of soda. Seeing this made me dizzy. My eyesight became blurry, and I felt like I was going to vomit again for sure. This couldn't be happening. Surely it was a mistake. Surely it was my imagination. I ran, stumbling over things to my table. My parents were very scared to see me, but I didn't pay attention to them. I just went to my food. I opened the drink, which was supposed to be transparent, and there I saw it. My soda had a slight yellow color. I began to try to understand in terror why it had that color, and as I remembered, I panicked. Not long ago, I'd seen how the employees were urinating in the drinks. Surely later they used the same glass to fill them with soda, and by putting the lid on, they prevented the smell or anyone from noticing the color. I began to vomit violently all over the place, while my parents held me and asked me what was wrong. The girl who waited on us ran up to me in a panic and asked me if I was okay. She saw me from a distance opening the soda and checking the food. She knew I had possibly discovered them and was terrified. The young woman put her hand on my back, but I slapped it away, and that's when I realized she had a band-aid on her finger, and she didn't have that before. I remembered the metal taste of the hamburger, and thought that it was the same taste I feel when I cut my finger and put it in my mouth. I recovered a bit to open the burger, and there it was. That condiment was not ketchup. It was much less thick and a stronger red. That was blood. Dizzy, I threw out all the fries, and they were still slimy. What could it be? Snot? Saliva? Suddenly, I started to feel dizzy, and from one moment to the next, everything went white. I stopped feeling my body as my vision faded. I saw myself falling towards the floor, and then nothing. I woke up many hours later in a hospital. My head was bandaged, and I was very dizzy. My parents told me that I lost consciousness and hit my head on the table when I fell. I was losing blood, and everyone was worried about me. But apparently, it was only a superficial blow. Despite that, I still remembered perfectly everything that happened, and I told my parents. At first, they didn't believe me. Apparently, their food was fine. But after convincing them, they knew I wasn't lying, trusted me, and sued the McDonald's. After the money and many years, my parents ended up losing the lawsuit. There was no proof other than the word of a 14-year-old boy who told the story after a hard blow to the head. My parents could do nothing against the ruthless lawyers of a company as big as this one. We may not have won the lawsuit, and those employees may have gotten away with it, but I learned my lesson. From that day on, I was never going to let some stranger cook for me again. I may have caught the McDonald's employees, but who knows how many times I will have eaten something with a stranger's blood in it.
Story number 2.
Hi, my name is Ethan, and I'm 37 years old. During my youth in the 1990s, a horror fad was taking over the world, popularized in movies, television, and even books. These new horror icons were clowns. The craze took over the world, but was replaced years later with something new. However, for me, the fear never left. That chilly night in October left a deeply rooted phobia towards clowns that still lives with me to this day. During the 1990s, my dad and I developed a weekly tradition. It started when I was 8 years old and ended that dreaded day in October. Every Saturday morning, he would take me to McDonald's for our father-son weekend breakfast ritual. Without avail, we'd be sitting in our usual booth at 8 a.m. sharp every Saturday morning. It was like clockwork. But one morning, when I was 10, something was slightly different. That morning I did the usual. I got out of the car and pulled the entrance to the door, causing a sharp ding chime. The familiar aroma of fresh hash browns and syrup greeted me. I ran to our booth to wait while my dad ordered our food. But I noticed something different. In the lobby stood a tall and brightly colored clown. He wore a large yellow suit with exposed striped socks and a long-sleeve shirt.
Standing in the middle of
his hair and
McDonald's,
nose were as red as the stripes on his socks. His face was as white as the snow, creating a strong contrast. He wore a comically large red...
Yeah, I hear another ad.
smile.
Skip that little ad though.
The clown was busy with other boys and girls that hugged him and posed for pictures. They all laughed together as the disposable cameras flashed in the hands of proud parents. My dad joined me sitting in the booth. "Did you see?" He gestured towards the lobby. "Want to go take a picture?" The clown looked happy. He looked fun. He looked like the clown that had attended my friend Andy's party. I jumped out of my seat and rushed over to him. By then, the clown had sat on a chair. Our eyes met among the laughter of the running children and bustling kitchen. "Hello, little boy," he said in a rambunctious, goofy voice. "Would you like to take a picture?" He waved his yellow-gloved hand. "Can I, Dad?" I asked anxiously. He nodded. I ran to the clown. He patted his lap twice. Hold on," said my dad. "Let me go find the camera." The bell chimed as he exited. I sat on the clown's lap. "My name's Ronald,"
You just gonna
he
sit
said
on his lap
joyously.
and tell your
"Ronald
dad go get
McDonald.
the camera?
What's your name?"
Couldn't be me, bro.
I sat in silence, conflicted by my instruction to not talk to strangers and to not be rude to your elders.
He said don't talk to strangers,
didn't
but you sitting
insist.
on the man's lap, bro.
He stared forward, grinning his crimson smile. I began to feel tension in the air. Something about his wide eyes and blood-red mouth made me uncomfortable. For 20 seconds, we sat together until his neck began to crane forward, bringing his mouth close to my ear. "I'm going to fucking kill you, Ethan," he whispered in my ear. The goofy tone was gone, replaced by a deep and raspy snarl. My 10-year-old brain didn't comprehend what had been said. I knew one of those words was a bad word that I wasn't allowed to say. But to kill me? Was this a joke? I hadn't told him my name. How did he know I was Ethan? A familiar ding announced my dad's arrival, and seconds later, a flash illuminated my nervous smile. "Okay, bye," I said anxiously. He stared at me and walked away, blank smile and wide-eyed. By that evening, any discomfort about the interaction had washed off me. I ran up my stairs after dinner to play some video games before bed. At 10 p.m., just as I was getting into bed, a click came through my window. I ignored it. A second one came. I approached the window, and just then, the third rock came and hit the glass. I stared down. He was there. On my front lawn, that clown that called himself Ronald stood. He waved his yellow wave with one hand and curled his index finger on his other hand, gesturing me to come down. "Do you want to play, Ethan?" he snarled. The shock of his voice made me fall back on the ground, but when I got up and looked out, he was gone. The following week I entered my classroom, and my stomach plummeted when I saw him standing next to Mr. Scott in front of the class. They discussed that Ronald was visiting to raise awareness for a certain charity. He smiled and talked in his goofy voice. I found it odd he was alone in attendance, but pushed the thought away. On my way out of class, he stared me down and waved. "Bye, Ethan." That weekend, my family went to dinner at McDonald's. Driving into the parking lot, I began to get nervous. I was anxious, but to my relief, Ronald was nowhere to be seen. We sat in our usual booth as the tension began to ease up inside me. Just as our food was being served, I jumped from my seat and headed to the bathroom to wash my hands. I scrubbed, rinsed, and I dried my hands, my stomach aching in hunger, when something hit my shoe. I recoiled in fear. It was a roll of toilet paper. It had slid from under a stall. A voice came from inside the stall. "Excuse me, do you think I can get some help?" The voice sounded like an elderly man. "My TP ran away." He chuckled. I slowly kicked the toilet paper closer to the stall when a hand grabbed my ankle from the open space under the stall. I writhed in pain, the nails digging deep in my skin.
Jump a little bit.
The hand pulled me towards the stall, causing my shin to break against the bottom of the wooden stall, sending splinters everywhere. My body fell with the pain, flat on the ground, and I began to be pulled underneath the bottom of the stall. It was Ronald. He crouched in the stall, makeup smeared with blood, and pulled me in. "I told you I would fucking kill you," he growled. My screams of agony coming to a halt, I looked down at my shin that had struck the wood and saw the bottom of the leg bent perpendicular to the rest of it. The clown pulled out a knife and struck me in the arm, somehow making the unbearable pain worse. Just then, the bathroom door burst open as I heard my dad screaming my name. But everything began to go dark. The last image I saw was the clown raise the knife and strike my other arm. I let the darkness take me away. I awoke hours later in the hospital. I had 2 broken bones and multiple stab wounds. I had lost a lot of blood, but I was told I'd make a full recovery. Ronald McDonald was actually a man named Rick Dillard. He was an escaped prisoner and registered sex offender. He had been living in hiding, coming out only in full costume and makeup to hide the face that had been plastered all over the news. Upon his arrest, police found pictures of other children in his apartment, his next targets. I looked at death in the face and somehow managed to escape. I was lucky to have gotten out alive with nothing more than a phobia to clowns, 2 stab wounds on my arms, and an aversion towards McDonald's. To this day, despite being 37 years old and the diminished popularization of clowns around the world, fear and panic strikes deep at the sight of that restaurant and its mascot.
Story number 3, y'all.
Hey, this is Jonathan. I'm 30 years old now. So, this horrible incident took place when I was working at McDonald's. At the time, I was 25. Newton, Ashley, Ellison, and Mark were my staff members. Ellison was married and had 1 baby boy of 5 years. They were very nice and hardworking people at McDonald's. We were all very good friends.
About to skip this ad. This probably gonna be like the last ad that we
Each
probably
other
get in a
and
minute.
used to work together. But Mark was a little short-tempered. He used to get angry at very little things, but he was good at heart. Everything went well for a long time, but the day was coming soon, which was going to bring darkness into our lives. One day, police arrived at the McDonald's. It was the crime spot. It was dark at the time. There was no light. All the goods in the shop were scattered here, there, and everywhere, and some belongings were totally broken. On seeing it, it seemed to be just a case of a typical robbery, but it was not a case of looting. It was more sinister than that. "Come on, soldiers, go ahead." On moving forward, they found me unconscious, and there was Ellison's dead body in the freezer. Someone had brutally killed her, firstly murdered and strangled her, and choked later. They found Ashley in the bathroom. She was lying there in very bad condition. She was about to die. Her throat was bleeding profusely because the murderer had stabbed him in the throat with a fork several times. She wasn't dead, but she was not able to speak or say anything. She was bleeding profusely from her mouth also. The murderer had shown no mercy at all before killing these 2. Mark was also lying unconscious there. He was also hit very hard on the head and had a cut on his chest. He was bleeding also. We were taken to the hospital. I was completely blown away knowing the truth about this horrible incident. I had no idea who would have done all that. Police officer Andrew called me to the police station for interrogation. Ashley and Mark did not regain consciousness because their situation was critical. So I was in the police station. Andrew said, "Do you remember anything about what happened that night?" "No, sir. I didn't see his face." "Tell me what you remember of the night." "Well, it was around 11 at night. At the time, someone cut off the light at McDonald's, and it became dark everywhere. I heard a very loud noise coming from the bathroom, and it was Ashley's. I was worried and turned on the torch and headed towards the bathroom. I opened the bathroom's door. I was shocked and terrified seeing her. Ashley was screaming and suffering in pain.
Help, Anthony!
Oh my God, Ashley, don't worry. Before I could save her, someone hit me so hard on the head with 2 big glass bottles. I was bleeding and started screaming, and I ran in the same condition to save my life in another room. I was lucky that day that you came on time. Otherwise, I would not have survived, sir." "Okay, thanks. It'll be helpful." "Sir, do you know who's behind all this?" "No, nothing's known yet, but we suspect some people." "Okay, you rest. If you remember anything else, you let us know, okay?" After a few days, Ashley's life could not be saved and she died. Mark, however, regained consciousness. The police interrogated him, but nothing was known from him as to who was behind all that. I saw he had become very weak. A few days passed like that, and nothing was found in the hands of the police. Then, after some time, the time came when the mystery was about to be revealed or opened in front of everyone. After 1 month, Mark and I started going back to work at McDonald's. The police were suspicious of both of us. That's why they forbade us to go out of the city. But one day, I overheard him talking to a guy on a call in McDonald's. Mark said, "Just once I get a chance, I'll run away with the money. Don't worry, brother." As soon as I heard all these things, I immediately called the police and told them everything. He saw me calling the police and started throttling me. Why are you doing this? Leave me, please." Mark said, "You will tell everything to the police? Huh?" Fortunately, the police arrived and caught him. And the main culprit was Mark. I couldn't believe it. After a few days, he did confess to his crime. Officer Andrews said, "I've got all the evidence against you. We know you loved Ellison. Many people have seen you and her together, so you tell me the whole thing from the start." Mark said, Yes, I did all that. I wanted to be a very rich man since I was a child, but I never could. That's why I did all this, to fulfill the purpose. I lured Ellison into the trap of my love because it was very easy to trap her. She had a child and was a single mother. She even helped me to kill Newton. Newton had come to know about the truth about us. That's why we had to kill him, and she helped me with this. She called him to a secluded place, and we crushed his head with a stone and killed him. She was scared after his death. She was feeling that the police would catch both of us. That's why she was repeatedly threatening me not to do the robbery, or else she'd go to the police and say everything. I tried a lot to convince her, but she was not listening to me at all. One day I had lots of arguments with her. That's why I killed her. I had to do this, otherwise she would have told everything to you all. But how'd you make this big elaborate plan? I had made 2 plans that, if I become successful, then I'll run away with all the money. But I knew very well what to do if the plan did not succeed. I tried to arrange the sleeping pills, but I couldn't. So I found this plan more worthwhile. First, I went to kill Ashley. When I went to kill her, I snatched her phone, but I didn't know that she had 2 phones. She called the police from her other phone, and my game was about to end. That's why I applied another plan. First, I hit my head with a glass and kept it there, with a cut on my hand with a chef knife, and fainted. Thus, my plan could not be successful because of Ashley, and I killed her. I continued to work at McDonald's so that no one would doubt me, but eventually, I was caught because of Jonathan. I hate that guy, seriously. If he hadn't listened to me, I wouldn't be here today. Son, you've committed such a heinous crime. Now, even God can't save you. And now, he's in prison.
That's the end of the video. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. It was one little part, bro, that got me with a little jump scare, bro. That jump made me jump a little bit, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. It came out of nowhere, so. But yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Like I said, all my socials gonna be at the bottom of the screen. If y'all wanna add me, follow me on any of my social media. Y'all can keep up with me up there. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to leave a comment on how you feel about these type of reactions. I know y'all been enjoying them because they've been doing good. But yeah, just let me know how you feel about them and stuff like that. Don't forget to subscribe. You know what I'm saying? That'll help your boy grow on the platform, like I said earlier during the video. But yeah, it's been your boy Torian, man, and we out.